Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing the Anti-TBR Tag. I was not actually tagged for this, but we all know that this is right up my alley, so I figured I might as well do it. The original creator of this tag is Nicole from Nicole and her books, so I will be sure to leave a link to her video down in the description, and let's get started. The first question is a popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. For this one, I'm going to go with the A Song of Ice and Fire series. Game of Thrones. I did watch the TV show after it was completed, and while I did enjoy it up until the last season, of course, I tried reading a book by George R.R. Martin previously. Someone had given me A Knight of Seven Kingdoms, I think it's called, and I guess it's a prequel to Game of Thrones, and it was terrible. I hated it. There are 3 stories in there. I read the first 2, ended up DNFing the third. It was just really a struggle to get through, and attempting to read that book put me in a reading slump, so yeah. The second question is a classic book or author that you have no interest in reading. I actually switched schools a lot when I was younger, so I actually didn't read a lot of classics. I didn't read The Great Gatsby or Of Mice and Men until I was a senior in college. So I never read books like Grapes of Wrath or Jane Eyre, didn't learn Greek mythology, and at this point I really don't have any interest to, so. The third question is an author or problematic author that you have no interest in reading. This might piss a few people off, but Cassandra Clare. I did read The Infernal Devices and The Mortal Instruments. I have since decided not to read anything else by her. I did talk about her in one of my problematic author videos, and even though I've chosen not to read her work, I am not discrediting her as an author at all. The Shadowhunter universe is fucking amazing, even though the TV show didn't really do it justice. I just, for certain reasons, things that she said, things that she's done, and her books are very tropey, which I don't like, and I hardly ever like any of the characters, so I just don't see the point. Fourth is an author that you've read a few books from but have decided is not for you. I have 2 for this one. The first is John Green. I have a whole author review video on him, so I will link that as well. I read Paper Towns, The Fault in Our Stars, DNF Looking for Alaska, and I just can't get into it. I can't, and I know a lot of people love him, but he's not for me. The second is Colleen Hoover. I read Ugly Love, hated it. I read Maybe Someday, and at the time I liked it, but I recently read the sequel, Maybe Now, did a drunk book review of it because that was the only way that I could get through it. That's how much I hated that book. I feel like Colleen Hoover wouldn't know a healthy relationship if it smacked her in the face, and I don't want to read about people romanticizing toxic bullshit. So the fifth question is a genre that you have no interest in or that you've tried and can't get into. Surprise, surprise, my answer is still romance. I'm working on it. I did a whole discussion about why I feel the way I do about certain romance novels. I did try to read all romance novels in the month of November. I had 5 on that list, only managed to get to 3 because of school. And that reading month wasn't great. Nothing on that list was rated higher than 4 stars, but I do still have some other romance novels on my shelves that hopefully will help me figure it out. As of right now though, I do like Talia Hibbert. That's about it. Next question is a book that you bought but will never read, and these can be things that you purchased and then unhauled or borrowed and returned to the library without reading. I have a few, one of them being Anna Karenina. Again, I didn't read a lot of classics growing up and I thought I wanted to read it. That book is huge and I just don't care. I borrowed it from my dad's girlfriend and I gave it back. Another book is Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. I have that on my shelves. I've had it for years. I wanted to read it because I wanted to watch the movie. Still haven't watched the movie, still haven't read the book. Don't know if I'm going to read it, to be honest. Next is a series that you have no interest in reading or one that you've DNF'd. For this, I will go with Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I had such high hopes for that book. I rated Truly Devious 2 stars and DNF'd the series. I gave away my copies of Truly Devious and The Vanishing Stair, and whatever the third book is, I canceled my pre-order for. Yeah, that book was straight trash. Like the most boring murder mystery that I've ever read. The last question is a new release that you have no interest in reading. One that I've been seeing circulating around a lot is A Deadly Education. Even before I really heard much about it, I just wasn't really interested. Everybody seems to be into it because there's a magical school and a lot of people are looking for a replacement to the other magical school that we all grew up with. But I just don't care. I've also been hearing a lot of not so great things, not only about the story, but about the author. So I don't see the point. So I'm not going to tag anybody for this one, but I do want to let you all know that I will be releasing an original tag in the coming weeks, and I'll tag a bunch of people for that when I finally get into it. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.